Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Lewis's vlog, and we started the week off with an incline bench. Yes, that is a very steep incline. He ended up getting 60 kilos. I didn't put up his miss. He tried to go heavier, missed it. Then of course we do chin-ups, pause benching, JM presses, all that stuff. So for those who don't know the backstory with Lewis, go back and watch the first vlog. We're in a rebuilding. This is someone who had been a previous client. We got him through the novice phase. Up to a 4-plate deadlift. He got injured, got sick, had to have surgery, pins in his wrist, all sorts of stuff, and then had a separate medical condition that knocked him out of training for over 6 months. And we're back in the gym, we're rebuilding, and I've already told him I don't like the way he's doing those JM presses. We talked about that already, so people need to come in and comment. He's trying to get too aggressive too quick on the weight on those. And it's making him drop his elbows way down, way down. At this point, he's just doing a close grip bench to the neck. So we need to get him a little higher. So again, form changes that need to happen. But his training is very basic. We run conjugate. He doesn't have, a lot of equipment. He's in a very limited home gym, of course, training in the cold. And I've talked to him about that. I need him to either get a rack in the near future, or he's got to go to a public gym, simply because lack of equipment. What's going to happen if I get him actually strong? And that's something he has to think about. I'm like, what's going to happen when you get to a 3-plate plus squat and then you miss a squat? With that rack you're going to have problems, right? It's going to have some problems. And again, I don't like it when people say, well, people could just do Olympic style squatting and drop it behind them. Yeah, that's how stuff gets broke in your house. 2, that's a bad habit to have, because Olympic lifting is not a popular sport, let's be honest, compared to something like powerlifting. So if someone decides later they do want to compete, they're 100 times more likely to get in a powerlifting meet, and you'll get thrown out of a federation for your life for that, right? You get lifetime bans for stuff like that. Okay, and I need to make that very, very clear. Learning to bail that way on a squat, and I've had a client do that, and then he wanted to powerlift, and I told him, well, you're not powerlifting as one of my lifters. You now created this bad habit. I don't want you on a platform, listed as one of my lifters. It's bad for my reputation. And, because he wouldn't quit doing it. And, obviously the guy wasn't that strong. But just pointing that out, it's not really a good method, not a good method. So for max effort, lower day, of course, we did a back squat. And again, his performance wasn't quite as good as we'd like on it. Some of his other stuff has been good this month. We've got some good deadlifts, some bench PRs, other stuff. That one wasn't quite up to speed. But again, he has his good days and his bad days. And of course, he worries about gaining too much weight. And I always tell him, you're skinny, keep eating. If you're worried about gaining too much fat, eat less fat, eat more carbs. But no, he needs to keep gaining weight. I'm like, you're not going to get stronger without putting on scale weight. You're still tall and lanky. Let's get that scale up. Keep lifting. Keep doing all the training. But for the supplemental lifts on the lowers, we're doing good mornings. We're doing split squats with dumbbells. We're doing glute bridges, hanging leg raises. So very, very simple stuff. Because again, we have limited equipment. We try to find exercises that we can do with what he has, right? And for now. And like I said, this is the problem I had some people run into have, more economy-based home gyms and things. Is the problem they do run into. It's like, I get lifters too strong for this equipment too fast, right? We start breaking equipment. It's a safety issue, and that's just the nature of it. So either they have to go ahead and join a commercial gym, or they're going to have to upgrade to some, better equipment. And he's going to get to that point. And it just is what it is. That's the price you pay for getting big and strong. All right. So for dynamic upper day, we do speed benching. I have him rotate grips. He used to not be able to do wider grip at all. Used to hurt. Now I've got into where he can do multiple grips. So we do pinkies on the rings, medium grip, close grip, all that stuff. Some people count pinkies on the rings as medium, though. Some people may not be aware of that. I think it really depends upon your structure, your arm lengths, shoulder widths. Subject to great debate how we define those I should probably make some videos on that eventually. All right, so for dynamic effort upper, we do incline benching. We do JM presses. These are looking a little better this time. They're not perfect, but they're definitely greatly improved over what he was doing on the other day. And of course, this is our supplemental pressing. Then we do chin-ups. We do barbell rows, laterals, and band press downs. So I actually have him doing really a lot of work. So that's one of the reasons I point out to him too. Don't worry about eating. Like, your training volumes and your exercise selection is very, very high. Okay, it's very, very high. There's no concerns that you're not stimulating maximum muscle growth of your whole body. Go ahead and eat. Okay, don't be afraid to eat. And a lot of guys do that, but then they don't realize, well, but they're like, I want leaner gains. I have a certain look. I'm like, you're going to need years to get to that look. You don't even worry about that look. They'll say they want. I'm like, I try not to point out to them that person, they might be a fan of, probably used a lot of drugs and starved themselves down. But that aside, it takes time to build a base. And, a lot of younger guys aren't aware of this. It's not something that people have really explained to them well, that, the person they're looking at might have 8 or 10 years of really hard training under their belt to even build that base, to when they cut down to it, they have something. So the guys a lot of times get this idea that they're going to get lean, they're going to be 10% body fat, and they're just going to stack on lean muscle from there. And it's like, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. It would be amazing if it did. It would be really nice. And I know that's what everyone wants. That's what everyone wants. But you know what I want? I want $1 billion. I want a dragon that I can ride, and I want a cell phone that has a lightsaber in it. Okay? And I think when you explain that to people and they go, oh, it's like, I want that just as bad as you want to make, 20 pounds of pure lean muscle gains with no fat. They're both equally likely to happen if you're not going to blast heavy doses of drugs. Okay? And even then, once you reach a certain size, it'll never happen again, even if you do that. That's not something you can keep doing over and over. It doesn't work that way. All right. Of course, we finish up with the same supplemental work. Of course, I do want him to get a little higher on those glute bridges. They look better on this one than they did in the previous session. Wasn't quite getting enough extension at the top. These look quite a bit better, although I might say he needs to take his arms out a little bit wider. We shouldn't bend the elbows on those. The elbows should be locked. And then, of course, he does his split squats, hanging leg raises. Again, finding the movements that we can do, that we can rotate through with the equipment that he has. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.